Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fika. Um, not off to, we're off to a wonderful start. I'm just going to play the music because there's no need for a countdown at this point, and we'll get started. And here we go.
You are listening to Fika with Vicky on United Public Radio, 107.7 and 105.3 from New Orleans.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fika. Our guest today, who is here at the beginning. I'm so excited, Rachel. I was almost late, and there you were, popping up. So visiting us today from Portsmouth, England, is our guest, Rachel Patterson. Rachel, you just have to sit there and wait till I do all your accolades, okay? So
you carry on.
Okay. Rachel has written over 20 books on witchcraft and its surrounding interests. She is a high priestess at the Kitchen Witch Coven, an elder at the Kitchen Witch Online School of Natural Witchcraft, a blogger, a columnist, a speaker and instructor at various conferences and events, and she even has her own Friday morning chat stream. She does all this with a strong work ethic, a genuine belief, and a sense of humor, which is why she is the only one who was surprised she was named on Watkins List of the 100 most spiritually influential people of 2023, because those of us following it
Technology.
it's the fairies. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to say that. So, how are you today?
Thank you. It's lovely to chat to you. I know we chatted a long while back now. It's lovely to chat again.
It seems like forever, like another lifetime. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you standing there. And for some reason, we're full here. So I'm just going to see if I can. Let's see if somebody's writing comment to you while we.
We've upset the computer gods today, obviously.
Oh my gosh! I cannot. There we are. There's only two of us, and this had better not happen again. So, Sue says hello. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Sue.
And let's talk fast. Okay. so here we go. Rachel, there's a lot out there to talk about. But we wanted to focus on A Witch for Every Season. This is one of your newer books.
It is.
And I feel like this is what all your books you've ever done, and you've just compacted some of those ideas within a handy 12-month almanac, almost,
Yep.
if you will, because that's what your books are. They're reference books. You never finish with them. When you want to know something, you're just like, okay, I'll go check Candle Magic or whatever. And most importantly, the thing you say in this book are, there are no rules.
You don't like rules.
Rebel. No, you're like,
I never have liked being told what to do.
I agree with you completely. It's like, and that's why you don't want to tell other people what to do.
I think particularly in witchcraft as well, where it is a journey that you can make your own. So you have to make up your own rules for it. It's got to work for you. And particularly when the Witch for Every Season is about seasons and weather patterns and the land that you live on. So it has to be different for every person because we all live in different places.
That is exactly true. For example, I live in a very cold climate. And so, you know, the books from England or where my descendants came from, they're already like planting things and stuff. Well, I'm, you know, and I had to shovel the driveway. Like, what to do. And the plants are going to be different. I mean, we can.
Yeah.
So it is very important that is addressed for those who may be more rule based or afraid of making a mistake somehow.
I think as well as witches, we're taught the Wheel of the Year. And it was one of the first things I learned. And it's a brilliant structure, but it was constructed in the form that it's in now by a couple of English blokes sitting somewhere in beautiful sunny England. So it's not, the dates of the celebrations aren't going to work for everyone. They don't even work for some of us in England these days where the weather patterns have changed. So I think it has to be flexible. Mother Nature doesn't read the calendar. She doesn't sit over the page and say, right, that's it. It's spring now. So you've got to work with Mother Nature around you.
Exactly. And not only that, I like the way that you discuss it's a time, as in a week, a month, you know, a cycle. Because when you get busy, you are like all over the place. And you're like, okay, I've got to do this for Imbolc. I've got to do this for Imbolc. And then Imbolc's gone. And you're like,
I found that a lot when I was first learning, and I'm going back. I've been walking this path for over 30 years now. And it was learn the dates, learn the names, learn the connections, learn the correspondences. Oh, it's too late. It's gone. I've missed one. So I don't beat yourself up about it if you don't, you know, hit a date on the right day. And I split it into seasons, but more even further down, I split it into months because each month has its own energy, and each year will have a different energy from the month the year before. So it's connection. It's about connection to the land that you live on. It's about connection to the weather patterns where you live and the energies, that the spirit of place. That's what guides you, not the dates on calendars.
Which is wonderful, because what a lovely idea to think that you can fit your spirituality into your life every day by doing the things you do every day. I remember at one point thinking, well, everybody who's anybody has gone off to the wilderness for a number of days and come back with like all this. What do you do if you have a mortgage and kids? I don't get to go to the wilderness. So
no, I live on the edge of a city and I've got a tiny garden. My garden's my sanctuary, but the land that I live on is ancient. Everyone's land that they live on is ancient. It's got layers and layers of energy. And even a weed that you find in the middle of a city centre has got magical energy to it. So it is about making it work in the area that you're in as well.
You mentioned in the book, there's always a weed growing up between sidewalk
Always.
stones, and that is your nature.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is what you have. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
See, I'm using your Friday morning voice because they're used to it. Not with the lovely accent. It's not an accent for you. So I also want to point out in the individually, because this is definitely a book for people who are strong in an individual thought pattern or nature, like this is who I am. So you, not only is there the time individually, but you put a different, like for each time you have, the stones that you might use, the plants that you might use, all of these things, so that if one doesn't catch you, another one will.
Yeah, I break it down into months because that's how I work. And of course, each month has its own folk traditions, or even saints' days can be made to fit into your pathway because it's all an energy. Each one carries its own energy, and I do encourage people to look at the folk traditions that are in your area because it will help you connect. But yeah, there's always crystals, there's always plants, foods that all connect to the different energies of each month. So it's how you work, really. You can pick and choose. And right. Animals, there's always different animals associated with the energy of each month as well. So yeah, mix it up, pick and choose.
If you're not into crystals, you can do plants.
Yep.
And also, as you pointed out, you can put tarot cards to symbolize those things. Absolutely. On your altar. So there's always a way with something that you have at home.
Yep.
Which is so important to anyone who is has to stay at home for perhaps an illness or something, or caring for someone else, a young mother who's just like, I'm putting chocolate milk in the chocolate, right? I'm intending that this chocolate, right? Like, it works for anybody in any situation. It's totally.
Like you say, we can't. I think people have this idea that witches they get up at dawn and, collect the dew, summon a couple of demons before breakfast, spend the day making potions and collecting wild things. We're all working mothers, parents, wives, husbands, whatever it might be. We've all got other stuff going on. So for me, witchcraft has to fit into your day-to-day life. Well, like you say, we've all got mortgages to pay and bills, and it's all got to fit into how you work.
And when you're making it fit, when you're thinking about that everyday life, you have to fit it in. Your practice is going to be more supportive of that everyday life.
It's a question I get asked a lot. I'm too busy to be a witch. How do I work it into my routine? I'm not a witch at certain times of the day. I'm a witch 24/7, whether I am doing vacuuming or making the dinner or performing a ritual in the back garden. Or I'm a witch in all of those things. It's about making your witchcraft work in your daily, and for want of a better word, mundane life. It's working it all into it so that it works for you.
Right. And another thing I wanted to point out of the individually, many of us are not born on the path that we decide to follow. There was another path before. And I find that this book, I want to hold it up again, but I'm not. Just get this book, people, okay? I find that this book is almost peacemaking, not perhaps the world, but within yourself and your family, by bringing in other celebrations, I'm just going to say Christian celebrations that many of us grew up with. And I know, and even I think as you get older, you get those memories more, those fond memories. For example, with me is Christmas music. It always makes me feel.
I love Christmas. It's my favorite time of the year.
If I put music on in July, I will clean because I am getting it has its own magic. Christmas music. So what this does is allow you to not feel someone who might do not feel like they have to cut off that part of themselves. And so
I am the only pagan in my family. I'm the only pagan.
Oh yeah, that's going
Christmas. Oh, I love Christmas, and it's the energy of Christmas that I love, and the carols and the really cheesy films. But you can make it. You can work it into your practice. I have included saints' days that because there's so many of them, you can't avoid them. You fall over the saints' days. But if you take a lot of days in origin, but if they haven't, you can work with the energy that those saints bring. Look at their mythology, look at their stories, and you can take the energy from that and make it work into your practice. And no matter what religion you are, if you are from a strong Christian family or a strong Jewish family or whatever it might be, you can work some of those traditions and work with those energies into your own practice so that you do come together as a family.
Well, and that is the piece going, because it's about the story. It's about the intention. It's not about the activity. Okay, yeah. I think so. If you are in a family that has various belief systems, or you're the only one who is following a pagan tradition, then it's not going to upset people. You can eat that cake. You don't have to say, oh, I can't eat that cake because that symbolizes this from your religion. You can eat the cake with your own intention and be very happy. What's that? Oh, you can also eat cake. Yes, no, I know. Okay, I was speaking to the wrong person. It was a symbolic cake. It wasn't a real cake, Rachel. But what I'm saying is that it creates... I was trying to have a serious conversation.
No, I know what you mean. And I think perhaps a lot of that comes with experience too, because when I first started on the witchcraft pathway, even something like Christmas, I spent so long looking for Christmas cards that didn't have Merry Christmas on them because I thought, oh no, I can't. That's the stupid thing was I'm the only pagan and I was sending them to people who celebrated Christmas. So it was, I got over that, but it can be a bit of a hiccup. Yeah, you just have to see the bigger picture, perhaps is the right way of describing it. Make it work for you.
Exactly, within your circle, within your ideas. Okay. Hi, Lon. And Brian has a question we're going to show because Brian is being facetious. Okay. But Rachel might have the answer. So, a tongue-in-cheek question. Any useful spells or demon invocations for shoveling snow? We got nearly 8 inches of snow overnight, and it's a bit much for this old man. Okay.
I've never seen 8 inches of snow. I'm in the south of England.
So it's not hard work.
I live near the sea, so we very rarely get any snow at all. You don't want to mess. If you can get a demon to shovel snow for you, then you are a higher magician than I am.
If you can get a demon to show up,
and then get rid of him, yeah.
And he can just melt it away.
You might have to bribe some teenagers for that, I think.
Yeah, I think this is like perhaps you should need an abundance spell so that you can hire the teenagers to shovel the driveway. Don't you have a snowblower, by the way? Okay, enough of Brian because he's just being difficult for the heck of it. That is the way Brian is, but we love him. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Janet.
Okay, you mentioned, where were we? So yes, I do think it's peacemaking for us. It is part of the passage, and you've been around doing this for I don't want to say a long time because but a long time.
Way over 30 years now.
and many of us do go through, when we take any alternative path, there's that little bit of anger at the beginning because we're thinking, well, this, these people did this and they did that and they did whatever. And true enough, in history, it's done. But it's also been done by everyone. I don't think there's a good place in history. Nobody gets off clean and easy. So once we get over that and we're back to real life, this book is very applicable. And it could help us get over that maybe a little more quickly. That someone in your position.
Also have to think that a lot of history is guesswork, educated guesswork. And history is written by the winners, and a huge amount, particularly I've been recently looking at ancient English history. Nobody wrote anything down. So if we had a time machine and went back, we'd have to rewrite all of history, I think, because we would have got so you have to. It's important to know about history. It's important to keep it, but it's also important to learn from it and move forward. I think, like you said, as you get older, you perhaps get a little bit more.
It's a reason. It's a reason why some things are the way that they are. It's not something that fall to blame, or it's a reason why.
Yeah.
And I just said that. Okay, so Brian, he's right away. Where are you, Brian? Here we go. And it was actually a good question for Brian. Do you think the world is more accepting of people choosing alternate paths than it used to be?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I started learning, it was before the internet. It was before people had computers at home, and the books that I managed to find were really only about Wicca, which is not a bad thing. I did all my Wiccan training originally. I've wandered from that pathway, but finding information was very difficult at the time. And I thought I was the only pagan in the whole of my city. I wasn't. But without internet or, the connections,
exactly,
it was difficult to find people. I've been very lucky in that I've never experienced any adverse effects or people being nasty or horrible because of my pathway. I've had quite a few people laugh thinking witches aren't real, and I've had to deal with that. But I do think with the expansion of internet, with media coverage, even Hollywood and films to a certain extent, although they do Disneyfy it, it's put it out there, and people are more knowledgeable. They know about it more, and definitely more accepting. It's a bit like tattoos. When I first started working in an office, nobody had tattoos. I'm covered in them now. Thankfully, I don't work in an office anymore, but even they've become more acceptable as more people have got them, learnt about them. And I think the alternative pathways, definitely more accepting. But I think that is knowledge. I think that is media that's getting it out there.
Communication, that
absolutely,
and growth. I mean, communication brings growth, as the truth that people can have tattoos and still be responsible office workers comes out. Hi, Tamara. Hi, Ness.
Hi, Tamara. Hi, Ness.
So this is totally off topic. We were being very deep, but now I'm on to practicals. How do you collect dew? Okay, I'm reading this. And I'm thinking, this is a really it's a really cute idea. But how
there is a bit of folklore about washing your face in the dew on, I think it's the morning of the summer solstice, and it's supposed to make you youthful. How you collect it, I have no idea. I've never been up that early to collect. Well, not up that early and with nothing to do except wander around and collect.
I thought that might be the case. I thought, I have to ask. I don't want to put her on the spot, but how do you? Tamara says very carefully. Yes, Tamara, I think so. With a tiny little bottle.
Spoon.
We have a spoon. Yes. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that I was just not missing anything in my thought process.
it a try. Let me know.
Well, that would also mean me getting up at
silly o'clock.
Yes, which is why I don't make for a while, my husband was going to work at 3:00 in the morning. So I would make your Friday morning talks live. Now,
No.
now that's not happening. It is quite a time difference between us.
It's about 5 hours, isn't it? So.
Yeah. So it does.
But then that's the good that's come out of internet and this more connections. I can talk to you now. That would never have been possible even just a few years ago.
No, it's amazing. It's an amazing world that has opened up so much. For us to learn, to see, to converse, to find out that we're not alone. I call it the magic box because
It is.
if I put in there, I have mushrooms, green peppers.
Yeah, what can I do with them? Yeah.
And it pops up. There you go.
Yeah.
Various.
It's a community, though, isn't it, as well? You can create a community across the globe, which is amazing. And that's probably going back to Brian's question about being more accepting as well. You know that you're not alone anymore and that you can just press a button and talk to someone that is just as weird as you are. And we'll have these conversations about the strange, wonderful things and not think you're completely bonkers.
No. Sometimes
well, they might
I
still
think that
think that, but,
yes, but it and then that in turn brings more even personal connections. Like say an event or the meet and greets that they have now that people online get to go and meet other pagans and things like that, witches and things, which is an interesting thing because you are a pagan witch, but people, as you've said, can be Christian witches, they can be Buddhist witches, and it's just a part
Witchcraft is a magical practice. The paganism part is the religion, and you don't have to be pagan to work witchcraft. It's very flexible.
Come on in, join us. I'm joining the Kitchen Witches because I think they do have gingerbread houses. They make them, and that's kind of suspicious because you're always like, look at what I baked today.
Well, I work a lot with magical food, so you never know what's going to be in it.
That's it. Well, you know what? I love cinnamon, and cinnamon is just
one of my favorites.
But I'm having gingerbread tea with cinnamon, and it still knocked us offline. So I don't know. I don't know today. I have to add something a little bit more, but we're still having fun. So, Brian, yes, Tamara, it is nice to find friends of like mind.
Absolutely.
Like we found you. And Brian says, I'm not going to click him up again. Oh, I will, Brian. You're getting a lot of press this morning. Brian says, can't snow and frost be considered frozen dew? Easy to collect.
You can work all sorts of magic with snow. Snow is very useful for working magic with. It's really good for freezing spells, for bringing protection. And it is essentially cold water, so anything that you associate with that, so you could collect some and keep it in a jar in your fridge and you can use it for magical purpose. But yeah, it's snow particularly, it's very good. You can write messages in the snow, like a wish or a desire, and as the snow defrosts eventually it sets that spell into motion. So yeah, snow is brilliant for working magic with. It's all water, isn't it? And water carries so much with it for working with emotions, for cleansing, for purifying, for releasing, letting things go. It's brilliant for working all that sort of magic with. And it's free.
No, exactly. We like free. And thank you for asking that, Brian, actually, because I was thinking that this morning when you were talking about distilled water, or I thought, well, if I go and have a bucket of snow, that's going to be clean when it melts because it's just from the sky. So this is an important point for your book being about different locations, because obviously snow is very much on Brian and my minds. Because it's doing it, Rachel. It's doing it.
I have a light dusting of frost. That's as bad as it gets.
See. So when it's saying, look outside and see what is growing in your garden, I'm like, I can't even see the gnome. Okay, the poor gnome.
I think you're the same as me, though, and we were in the end of January now. I don't even know where time's gone. It's just mad. And I know I talked about it before as well, about New Year's. So we're at the beginning of the calendar year and everyone makes the New Year's resolutions. I don't. For me, January is still a winter month. It's still a hibernation month. You want to be staying indoors and eating your big bowls of stew and hot chocolates. It's not a start new things month for me. I don't do that until at least February. And sometimes March. I want to wait for those first stirrings of spring in my area before I launch new projects or start new plans, because January it's still winter. It's still hibernation for me. And that has to work in your area, I think.
Well, no, exactly. And I think we also have to understand, or you can tell me if we should understand. Should we understand, Rachel, that it is a natural practice and we are natural beings? Mm-hmm. So it is natural for us to hibernate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Particularly if you have 6 feet of snow outside, I would imagine.
Yes, we're not quite as bad as Brian, but school buses were canceled, etc. yesterday. Right. So what do we have happening here? Do you want to address things, Rachel?
Oh, we have a troll. Yeah, there's always a troll.
Where's our... Oh, should I just ignore them? Okay, yes. just ignore the... I'm not sure how to... This is all new to me. So if I sit here trying to get rid of them all, I'm going to get rid of them. Okay, delete comment. I don't want to delete everything.
Tamara says, magic is intention, so you can use anything as a substitute. You just rename it. I'm all for that. I work a lot with household magic. I don't think witchcraft should cost a lot of money. I think witchcraft should be able to be worked with whatever you have to hand. You can work magic with your mobile phone. You can work magic with piece of paper. You can work magic with leaves and nuts and whatever you can find. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything has an energy, and it's about connecting with that energy to see what magic it can help you with. But yeah, you're right, Tamara. Intention is a huge part of it.
And Brian is back. He's addressing you, Rachel. I don't think he's speaking to me anymore.
You mentioned how magic is separate from religion. Does the practice of magic vary around the world, or are there universal principles involved? Interesting question. I think it depends how you look at it. Magic is worked by a lot of different practitioners. If you look at, I'm a kitchen witch, so I work with more wild magic, like the old wise woman or the wise man that used to live on the edge of the village, and people would go to them for cures or curses for their neighbour's cow or things like that. That's very natural stuff. Wicca is another one that's more ceremonial magic. Then you have the root workers who work with hoodoo, which is a folk magic as well. There's variations, but ultimately it all boils down to energy. Everything has that energy, and if you work magic, if you're working a spell, then you are manipulating that energy to make it do what you want it to do. And that's the same across the board. It is all about manipulating that magic, which is why, as a good practitioner, you take responsibility for what you're putting out there as well. Always take responsibility for it.
Your actions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janet, for reporting them. Thank you very much.
Good one.
There's always one. So I just want to ask a few questions about the book and things in it that I'm interested in. It's all about me. So when you envision Bridget's mantle, okay, how do you see that? How, like, is it like a cloak or a cape or?
Bridget's an interesting one. Not one I particularly specifically work with on a regular basis, but it's her time of the year. It is her time of the year. Bridget started as a goddess and then she was made into a saint. So she's got a huge, long history. And Imbolc is her time. I think snow comes into this because when I think of mantle, for some reason I think of snow.
The mantle of snow on
Yeah,
Is it in a poem or a story? I think somewhere.
Oh, probably.
Or Carol.
You have a brain like a sieve. So yeah, it is her time of the year and she is all about Imbolc and about new beginnings. She's very creative, passionate kind of energy that works right through the spring. But yeah, it's her time of the year and you can make bridey dolls. Bridget, however you want to say it, same figure, different ways of spelling it. You can make dolls to put on your hearth. You can make little beds for her, Bridie's little bed. We've done this within the coven a few times and it's hilarious. Making crafts is always really funny. It's not my best skill. But yeah, I see her mantle as white and quite. My altar's not in here anymore, but when I dress the altar for Imbolc, always a white cloth on it to represent Bridget's mantle because it's always in my head suggested snow, and probably snowdrops come into that as well because they're usually the first sort of flowers we see, at least here in February.
Yeah, I think that's in there. And because I haven't paid much attention to Bridget, but we do need, probably because she was just doing everything I had to do every day. It wasn't glamorous, but we do need healing. And I'm actually thinking if you put the mantle out the night before Imbolc and it actually snowed on top of it, that would be so cool.
Perfect, that would be perfect.
Sorry, Brian. Now I'm hoping for snow. What was that? Did I miss?
I'm just gonna. She's Irish, Bridget. You know, that's her origins. I think she is one that I work with on occasion, but I would like to mention. I'm flicking through the book. I'm not looking at my feet. It is worth mentioning if you are going to call upon Bridget or any of the goddesses, do get to know them first. Do at least read up their mythology, their history, a little bit about them so that you know who you're dealing with. And it is, any time you deal with a deity, it's a relationship. So like you would with any new friend, get to know them a bit first before you start asking them for stuff.
Yeah, I think, well, it's almost, you just want their energy, their story, as it were, to filter around you at first. You know, get to know the story, so it helps on that level, even if you're not like a full, we have a friend that we've both worked with in the past, Kaylee, and I feel like I just had to ask her about a year ago to just, you know, I think, thank you very much. We've come to the end of this, but you know, it's time to start things growing again.
Yeah.
And it's time to, which doesn't mean that she's not there in the winter and she's not there around reminding me of things, but she just maybe doesn't have the force that she once had in my life.
Well, the Kalak is a winter goddess anyway, so she's fighting back about now. This is the time where she's hanging on, clinging on to winter, which is why you get the sort of few spring days and then all of a sudden it's freezing cold again. That's her fighting back. She doesn't want to give up.
No,
but
no.
There will be some deities that you just like, which is quite a popular one where people do just work with her at this time of the year. But there will be deities that you end up working with for a few months or a year, or sometimes they'll step back. For the Kalak's done that for me. I've walked with her for years, but recently she stepped back so that I can work with Sulis. And she's sort of stepped back for a couple of years now so that I can work with a different deity. And it happens. I think that deity they'll find you if they think that you need their energies. And if they think that you don't, they'll step back. They're not going to be with you if they don't think you need them.
No, you have a relationship.
Yeah,
and there's all this fear, but it is a relationship, and they know you and you know them, and the stories are just going to merge. So yeah, I think there's still, there's still some fear out there about these things, and that's possibly why, once again, a book like this one is so important, so that people see, it's just you're not just, but as a mom, a working mom, making it apply to her life. And there's I don't see anything. I mean, I've seen some things happen when Peter might say people want to be witches because they want to dress up like her name's Stevie Nicks.
Oh, I wouldn't mind Stevie Nicks' wardrobe, but there's long drapey sleeves, totally impractical. Totally impractical. For eating, for cooking, for even for our coven very rarely even wears cloaks because they are so impractical for when you're moving around in ritual. But yeah, Stevie Nicks, lovely.
Especially when
not practical.
Especially when you're working with fire.
Not a good move. Not a good move.
It is an accident ready to happen.
Yeah.
So is there anything specific that you want to hats and brooms are fun. Well, sometimes I don't want to deal with a broom.
I have a hat. I have a broom, but I still do rituals dressed in jeans and a sweatshirt. It's,
It's practical. It's warm in the winter.
Yes. Having stood in the middle of Stonehenge in the freezing cold with hailstones coming down, cloaks and your pretty dresses, they don't cut it.
No, they also don't go with like huge winter boots and that is the picture. That is the dream, right? Like everything that is. I mean, some people can do it well. I just couldn't. I'm not very good at pulling things off. You spoke about crafts, and I'm like, yes. When I do a child's craft, it looks like a child.
Yeah, mine do too. But that's where the intent comes into it. It's not what it looks like at the end. It's the energy.
It's the energy and the intent. Yeah. So if somebody decides, oh, this sounds really interesting, I would like to be a witch, what would you advise them to do?
Read, research. Read and research everything you can. There's some good stuff out there. There's some bad stuff out there. So you're going to have to filter through it. And with the internet as it is, there are lots of groups that you can join for free. Libraries as well. Don't forget libraries, because they will, if they usually have a teeny tiny occult section. But if there's a particular book, you can always ask them to order it in. But read and talk to people. Find people, groups online, and ask questions. Most good groups will always answer your questions, even if you think they're really silly. They aren't. That if you don't know the answer to it, it's not a silly question. But yeah,
there are no silly questions.
Information. No, there aren't. Information, knowledge, and information. Get that. Witchcraft is huge. Paganism is huge. 30 odd years later, and I am still learning new things, and I love it because it is such a huge I think it'd be really boring if you know there
If
was
you knew everything.
Yeah, no.
If you knew everything.
We don't tell my husband that I don't know everything. He can hear me, so
No, those are the kind of secrets. Those are the kind of secrets that you keep in your book, right? That the only other witches can read.
It's about energy too. It's about the connection, connecting to nature. It's probably the first thing most people will say is to new witches is get out in nature. But a lot of people can't actually do that on a regular basis. So it's about connecting with the land beneath your feet. Everything has an energy. Even the car park outside Walmart has an energy. There will be soil and earth with a history below it. So it's about learning to connect with the energy of everything, whether it is that car park or a leaf or the bag of apples you bought in the supermarket. It will all have energy. And it's about connecting with that and getting to know your local area, which is really the main theme of the book as well. Is about getting to know your local area and the folklore and history in your area, because it will help you connect, and all of it can be tweaked to work with your pathway.
And also, I think it's important to say that it's okay to just go into this world not saying, this is what I want to be, but because I am curious, just to understand how other people do things.
Oh, it took me probably a couple of years before I was comfortable calling myself a witch. I didn't feel qualified or comfortable, or I don't know, but it did take me a long while to feel that I earned the title, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, it's a label thing, isn't it? We all love these, much as we like to be alternative. We all like to fit into these different groups. We like the labels and the boxes because it makes us feel part of something. But you don't need a label. You don't need to call yourself you can call yourself whatever you like, but you don't need a label. It's about walking the spiritual path, I guess, to give it a loose collective title. But no, you don't have to give yourself a label.
I haven't yet, because most groups have very nice people in them, and they don't need to be attached to me in my questioning ways, But it doesn't. I think it's because it is respecting, and it is, wanting to make sure before I go there. Like it's not. And then I wouldn't know what kind of witch to be.
It would probably change too. I mean, when I started, it was Wicca, and I worked through the 3 Wiccan degrees, and I gained my High Priestess title. But I'm not Wiccan anymore. Although I used it as, still use parts of, my pathway isn't Wiccan anymore. My pathway is very much Kitchen Witch. And it's changed. It changes over the years, and it would change on what you read, on what you learn, on people that you meet. I sort of take the bits from all these different pathways and make my own. And I think that probably works better for a lot of people.
The individuality, once again, is important. So we have a couple more minutes. Sell yourself like mad, Rachel. What should we be looking at? I know you have the inbox. You have the inbox celebration on Ritual on Sunday.
We run, the Kitchen Witch Coven runs regular Sabbath open rituals, open to everyone, on our Facebook group and on our YouTube channel. Everyone's welcome. We always make,
and they are very welcoming.
They're very relaxed. We don't go in for the formal ceremonial stuff, and there's usually a craft spell working in the middle, which is always a laugh. But you can find me Friday mornings on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook page, and always find me on Facebook. I'm always happy to answer questions. If you got any questions, you think of anything, tomorrow, next week, do message me, because I'm always happy to answer questions.
And she does on her own YouTube things and very.
I might not have the answers, but
but she'll make them up really fast.
Yeah,
She'll make them up. Okay, Rich, we have to do this again when
absolutely.
when we're not thrown off by the beginnings of this, or I'm not thrown off. You have tons of experience. I'm just like, what is happening now? So I want to thank Rachel. This is my official thank you for coming to Fika.
Anytime.
And I'm just going to mention next week we will be focusing on Jolie P. Huang's Three Funerals for My Father, Love, Loss, and Escape from Vietnam, which is inspirational in its own way. So until then, may your coffee be hot and your story sweet. Thanks for listening, everyone. And I'm not fast enough. Oh, I forgot my ticker again. I told you. Okay, people, I'm just getting used to this stuff. Ella, sorry, Rachel.
That's all right.
And we have clips. And oh my goodness.
Top right.
Why can't I see it? There it is. Exit. Okay. Bye, everyone.